This podcast is part of the Global Sports Podcast Network, the only network bringing you exclusive daily news and views on your Premier League team, the Premier League, women's football, and fantasy football. A unique listening experience that puts fans first, bringing you the very latest breaking news from your team. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and make us your first listen every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network. Every club, every day.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and a very warm welcome back to the English Daily Premier League podcast here at GSPN. My name is Mikey Thompson and I'm going to be taking through this weekend's games and fixtures. I'm joined by the one and only, over in the USA, in the States. It's Michał. How are you, sir?
Pretty sleepy since it's the pretty early hours here in America, but other than that, pretty good. Like we're in for some very wild ride, especially with the European places being up for grabs.
Absolutely, and we have got a wealth of Premier League games to talk about this weekend. We're going to kick it off with Arsenal and Man United, and a nice little link I've brought to the table with that. We're going to talk about Europe after that in the middle section, and then we're going to focus on the Forest game tomorrow, or tonight as you're listening to this episode. So let's jump in to the Arsenal game where Declan Rice commemorates his 100th appearance for Arsenal with a goal. However, the set-piece masters are haunted by set pieces themselves. Arsenal played after going out of Europe and having very little to play for now in the league. It seems as though they're going to get that second Champions League spot, should I say. And they played Bournemouth at home. They went 1-0 up and it seemed like systems were all go, a very formal outcome of the game. Declan Rice took the lead early doors, but two set pieces, two headed goals took back Arsenal, and Bournemouth managed to go home with a 2-1 victory, blundering Arsenal's chances. Michał, I want to come to you about the game first. As a whole, I just feel that Arsenal lacked any intensity in what they were trying to achieve. Perhaps the reflection is of the league and the system of what they're playing, but it must be quite deflating for an Arsenal fan to watch their team, especially at home, come to lose 2-1 when they're 1-0 up.
Absolutely, yeah. And to be honest, I was a little bit surprised as to how Arsenal approached this game, really, because in our early predictions, I think what we said was that Arsenal would start with a second suit, that we would not see like half of the core players from the normal starting lineup of Arsenal. I did not expect Partey to start. I did not expect Trossard, Martinelli, or even Saka, God forbid, to start in this game. And yet he did. So apparently Mikel Arteta's message was clear. We are not assured of the Champions League spot yet, so we have to keep pushing until it's actually all said and done. And, rivalry in the Champions League semifinal against PSG cannot be an excuse. We just have to go at it. Which makes it even more surprising, because when you are a team like Arsenal, you've got the opportunity to play in Munich in the Champions League final, and you put quite a decent display against PSG. It would seem like a logical conclusion that against Bournemouth, which is not as good as PSG. I mean, okay, credits to Bournemouth and as to how Andoni YOUela lined this team up, but still, they're nowhere near the level of PSG. So I would really imagine Arsenal being in a far better form, and just like you said, lack of intensity, and those two goals which they conceded, they were super accidental goals, which they should have with enough concentration and enough tenacity, they would have never even gone in at all. And just one piece of statistic here, ball possession, 50-50, 50% Arsenal, 50% Bournemouth. I think that tells you, maybe if not everything, that most of what transpired during that game, and why Arsenal had they just squandered their chances away. They had such an opportunity and they just squandered it. I just do not understand that.
Yeah, I think an interesting thing that I've pulled out is that it was the fourth set piece goal that Arsenal have conceded at home in the last three Premier League games. And it also helped Bournemouth break a record in their first ever win at Arsenal. Um, I don't know. I don't know how the Champions League will play out. I think that obviously weighs on a team, and it has caused a little bit of an issue here. But a team that definitely isn't struggling in Europe, however, can't seem to get it right in the Premier League is Manchester United, and we've covered the result, or we touched on the result about against Athletic Bilbao on Thursday. They play Brentford away at Brentford, and don't get me wrong, and I'm not going to go into it too much, but the team's plagued with injuries. There's players playing that haven't played all season, but the 4-1 down.
Mm-hmm.
And they're waiting until 10 minutes. And to be fair, Garnacho scores a fantastic goal. Ahmad scored a great 95th minute goal. But United, at the end of the day, it's another L next to their name, and they've had a torrid time in the Premier League. What did you take away from the game?
What I took away from the game is that because of the injuries, I do not think that we should knock on Man United too hard from this game. Yes, going 4-1 down, or 1-4 down, if you will. It's pretty embarrassing. But then, on the other hand, like, what did you expect with having Matthias de Ligt and Fredriksson as your centre backs? I did not expect anything else other than what we actually saw. Like Fredriksson, he's a youngster. Like he's still got a long way to go to actually achieve his full potential. He did not have a good game. Schade, like with a rate of 8.0 with 2 goals scored, like he had a very easy time there on the left side, especially with Fredriksson just not being, like he wasn't being good enough. He wasn't good enough. That's all. But then again, I would not take away anything from this game apart from the fact that injured guys, they have to come back to the squad, including oh my God, lo and behold, Diogo Dalot, who got injured. He was not playing in that game, and I was actually missing him for this game. I do not like Diogo Dalot particularly. I think that he's not bringing anything good to the team. But with that being said, I would easily replace him. I would easily put him in the squad for Kobbie Mainoo. I'm sorry, but like I'm just so disappointed in Kobbie Mainoo too. I mean, he was such a promising aspect, right? Like prospect, right? Like I think every single Man United fan will say the same thing. That boy, here you go, England national team. Like he's scoring those goals, like maybe not like crazy, but like he's scoring those goals when he's supposed to. He is taking reins of this midfield as no youngster before him, and yet. Okay, I don't know. Maybe I'm too harsh on him. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I do agree with you. I don't think Kobbie Mainoo is capable of holding a midfield by himself. I think he needs a really strong player so he can have a little bit of freedom. I also think Kobbie Mainoo is better further up the pitch, whereas today they had to deal with it in the middle of the pitch or defensively. Or yesterday, I'm sorry, we were recording this the day before. So I do think that Kobbie Mainoo struggles when it comes to the nitty gritty, but I think his quality on the ball and his speed is something that could become a very good thing. But we're also seeing some great players in the United team, bar Bruno Fernandes, really struggle. So I don't know whether that's something to weigh on. But I read this week that they're potentially going to look at selling Kobbie Mainoo because if they don't win the Europa League, there's like 100 million loss in sponsorship. It's catastrophic if they don't win this competition, which is ludicrous. However, they are in a position where they could potentially win after going up dramatically 3-0, taking that to Old Trafford. You'd say any other year, I promise you would say it's done. Get your tickets to Bilbao. I mean, we've been talking about getting there. It's ridiculous. However, I just don't put it past United to lose 4 on the night. I just don't. I don't. However, that proposes my question to you.
Yeah.
If United were to go on and win the Europa League, and as we can imagine, Arsenal would have a really difficult time beating or overcoming PSG.
Hmm.
If they were to go out, who would you say, or would you say that Man United have had a more successful season than Arsenal yet again?
Yes, absolutely so. And I love this point. Of course, like it's a little cheeky because, like, when you look at the reality and nit and grit of all of this, we realize that Arsenal have fared far better in last Premier League campaigns than Man United. Like, I'm sorry, but that's just the reality. But yeah, looking at it from this perspective, that would be a trophy. Trophy in the cabinet, the trophy which Man United failed to win in my like Polish city, my Polish city, it's not my city, but like a Polish city of Gdańsk. Like this final still hurts me. By the way, that one from 2021 where they lost to Villarreal on penalties with De Gea missing this penalty. They will have a chance to claim it this time, and well, yes, I mean Arsenal. Well, I think the pressure is on them because if they are again second on in the league table, they fail to dethrone Man City. Okay, well they finish like for now. They finish higher than Manchester City. I think this is another interesting point that we can bring up. But
Yeah.
failing to win Premier League trophy, any trophy this season, and seeing Man United, who currently sit 15th in the Premier League table, win the Europa League, that would add more salt to injury. And on top of that, Arsenal are not assured of the Champions League spot because Man City are gonna probably catch them up. But we're gonna talk about this later.
Yeah, absolutely. I take your point. I think you're absolutely right. I think what Arsenal need to do is reinvigorate themselves, and that's probably why they should listen to our next advert, which is Bioniq.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Absolutely, do that. Check it out. We are going to talk about the race for Europe, and it's quite a difficult conversation to have this because there's so many games, or teams, should I say, that are involved. So what I'm going to do is go through the games of the teams that were involved, and then we'll talk about the positions in the table, and then we'll come to you for comments about that. So it kicked off on Friday night with third place currently being Man City in the table, beating Wolves at home 1-0. Kevin De Bruyne showing that he's still got it. Newcastle obviously played Brighton away, and that was on Sunday. They managed to get a 1-1 draw, although they did have a couple of opportunities for penalties, even though they got a penalty to score their equaliser. Brighton were pretty much in control of that game, or weren't really concerned. I was quite glad to see that VAR stepped in to overrule penalty decisions, whereas before VAR there would have been 2 penalties. So Newcastle would have definitely had approximately 3 penalties. Gordon just outside the box, it would have been given as a penalty because it looked like it was in the box, and then there was a dive. I can't remember who it was, but it didn't look like a dive at the time. And again, VAR proved right. So I am glad that VAR is being used appropriately and being effective, I guess. Newcastle sit in 4th place, just behind Man City. Chelsea, which was the last game on Sunday evening, played Liverpool, and 3-1. Quite a comfortable victory. Nothing against Liverpool being taking the foot off the gas, but it's done a lot of favours for Chelsea, putting them on joint point and goal difference with Newcastle at the minute. So they're technically joint 4th, but in 5th place, based on their win rate, I think it is. Then we've got Forest in 6th place, who play tonight against Crystal Palace away. And let's be honest, Forest's form, which we will touch on after this segment, could be an issue for that game, but we'll talk more about that soon. Then we've got in 7th place Villa, who are on 60 points, the same as Forest currently. And Villa did a win that I think was very necessary. If they'd not won this game, I'd have said that they've got a very tough task to make sure that they get into Europe. And then, I don't know, Michał, help me with this. How far down are we going? Because for some reason I'm reading that Bournemouth and Brentford are both... So when the result happened today against United with Brentford, they said that they're now within a chance of going to Europe. So are we going down to 8 places this year?
Wow. I mean, looking at how the levels are, like, they're so brought to the, like, basically like to the same height. I would say surely. I mean, actually, when I was thinking about how to like what to comment on in terms of Race for Europe, I wanted to say that because of the fact that Fulham lost their game to Aston Villa, that they are probably out of the Race for Europe. And then I just caught myself being like, hold on a minute, Fulham, they're 11th with 51 points. They lost the game, and I'm only saying that they probably out of the Race for Europe. What is that? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you know how many spaces there are?
Okay, how many spaces? I mean, there are 5 spaces for Champions League. 6th place goes for Europa League. 7th for Conference League, and that's assuming that. Okay, but that's of course minus the places for Carabao Cup and FA Cup. So if Man City were to win to FA Cup, then the Europa League spot would go to Bournemouth, which is 8th. And as seeing as Newcastle, they are currently 4th. They will get. Actually, I'm going to have to confirm this live on air. Yeah, because only the winners of the Carabao Cup qualify the Conference League. So that means that
I'm with you.
Okay. Yeah. So there you go. So in that case, it would be 8 teams.
8 teams. Wow. So you're right. 100% Fulham are still within this.
And I said probably out. Oh my God.
But you would assume so in 11th place, but not this year. It's crazy, really. I mean, I think Villa had a tough game, and they beat Fulham 1-0 quite comprehensively, actually.
Yeah.
Newcastle are the only team that you would say that have slipped up, really. They could have put a lot of pressure on the team below them, not getting a win at Bournemouth, Brighton. Sorry, which team do you want to talk about? Is there any games that stood out to you out of those?
Out of all those games, I would love to talk about Man City here, and maybe not because of the fact that the game was like absolutely mesmerizing, astonishing, or whatever. It's because of the fact that Kevin De Bruyne saved the butts of Man City by his unbelievable, by his unbelievable display. And oh my God, are they going to miss him at the Etihad? Well, we're happy because one less threat to Old Trafford.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's embarrassing. Yeah, but returning to Man City, I will repeat this point. I'll reiterate it. The fact that this Race for Europe is so insane this season is the fact that Man City, with such a horrible season that they've had, with the fact that they're losing so many points, they have so many points of loss towards Liverpool, that they are behind Arsenal. They're still in contention for Champions League football. 2 months ago, I would tell you that Man City had absolutely zero chance to qualify for Champions League. And here you are. Here you go. They're 3rd. And now not only are they 3rd, but they are actually on a very good course of overtaking Arsenal.
Yeah, it's true.
Just 2 months ago, you would never even say that as a real prediction that what, Man City overtaking Arsenal with such dull form? No way. And yet, there you go. Pep Guardiola, the master, I guess. That is the team that I would like to highlight. Because as far as the other teams go, Newcastle, I read a nice piece about how Newcastle would approach the game against Brighton, because there were 2 approaches. Approach number 1 from the previous fixture in the Premier League, where Brighton were basically, back to the wall defending and allowing Newcastle a lot of space and yet still winning. Still losing to Brighton from Newcastle's perspective. And the second approach would be to, for Brighton to attack back and actually give take the fight to Newcastle. And that second approach was visible in that latest game. And the only difference is that Brighton failed to score a hat-trick against Newcastle in this season. So it's just going to be interesting. And I guess the biggest letdown, if we want to talk about the biggest letdowns, Nottingham Forest heads down. We're going to talk about them like more detail in the preview, but my God, I really expected more from Nuno Espirito Santo at the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just as a quick one before we move on from this segment, who out of I'd say that there's 4 teams that are in the fight for the Champions League spots, which would be City, Newcastle, Chelsea, Forest, and Villa. Mm-hmm. Out of those teams, who would you think deserves it? Let's go with that.
Who deserves it? I think looking overall at the season, at the fact that Mikel Arteta's side, they did a far better job than they did last season, and they also finished second in that season, losing only to Man City. I think Arsenal, when it's all said and done, they deserve this Champions League place. If they do not get the Champions League place by winning the Champions League, well, I might go out on a limb, but that's the reality. So yeah, Arsenal deserves to go into the Champions League. I think Newcastle also deserves to go to the Champions League. With Man City, I guess they deserve it based on their streak of 4 victories in a row. I guess they deserve it, although it's going through my throat like tough. It's pretty tough to swallow. It's a very tough pill to swallow. I think that Nottingham Forest, they deserved until couple match weeks ago to be in the Champions League, and yet they just completely plummeted. Aston Villa, I think they still have a fighting chance, but their goal difference is inferior to not only Nottingham Forest but Chelsea and Newcastle.
Yeah.
So that's going to be tough for them. Even though they won against Fulham, it's still going to be tough. So deserving top 5: Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle, Chelsea, and okay, I guess Man City. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting though, because it's gonna really ramp up now as well, because of the teams who've got to play each other as well, which is there's a lot of key matches coming up, which is quite interesting. Villa, I'm going to say, Villa and Fulham this weekend was quite a pivotal one, I think. You've got Forest who play Chelsea towards the end of the season. All of these games are really going to have quite a dramatic impact, I think, on the games that are coming up. I really hope Forest get Champions League football, because that will secure my belief that football is still the beautiful game and allows teams to do this. Because let's be honest, they've defied odds doing what they have this year. But it rests comfortably in my mind knowing that if they don't quite make Champions League football, there's a good chance they'll get Europa League football, which in itself is still a huge, huge achievement. And talking about huge achievements, how about putting on a daily podcast every day? And that's what we do here at the GSPN network. And that is why we choose Zencastr as our broadcasting platform to manage all of those podcasts.
Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out as the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone, AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the description to learn more about Zencastr.
Yeah, check us out. We are on all of the social media channels that you need to know. Hashtag Daily Premier League Podcast. That's us. Make sure you check us out and give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe if you want any alerts to let you know when we release a new episode. They go out daily, first thing in the morning, and we'll keep you up to date with everything that's coming out of the Premier League. Now, moving on. We are going to be talking about that game that is going on tonight, Crystal Palace against Nottingham Forest. It's a really, really important game for Forest to maintain their chance of being in that European Champions League spot. A win would keep them in exactly the same position that they're in at the minute, I think, based on goal difference. As they go on to 63 points, joint with Newcastle and Chelsea, and just 1 point behind City. So they put themselves in a good position and give themselves a bit of breathing room from Aston Villa. Stats leading into this game definitely favour. I was going to say Palace, but it's a tricky one really. Palace coming off the back of a 3-0 win in the FA Cup to Villa. What an incredible achievement for all of those guys. They drew 2-2 to Arsenal before that, drew to Bournemouth, then massive losses to City and Newcastle. However, Nottingham Forest have had defeat without goals. They beat Spurs, which, I mean, who doesn't beat Spurs, let's be honest. And then they got defeat against Villa and Everton. So big matches where you want to be winning and where they were winning earlier in the season, they're now dropping points. How are you feeling with this game? What do Forest need to do to get over the line against a team like Palace?
What they need to do is they need to find whatever it was that that like enabled them to go very high in the Premier League table. While you were introducing this discussion about about the preview, I looked at the result from the match in October in the Premier League when Forest beat Crystal Palace 1-0 at home after Chris Wood scoring. Wow, Chris Wood scoring. A lot of Forest fans would basically that would be their hill to die on, just to see Chris Wood score again, like as of late. That was a great game, and from what I can see, it was a great performance of the goalkeeper Matthijs. Anderson, who was playing in the midfield, he was also having a great game. Overall, like Yates, who was the captain at the time, Milenkovic, Murillo, Moreno, Aina, the entire defensive line having a pretty decent, basically marks for this game in October. So fast forward to today, I just really think that Milenkovic, Murillo, Aina, Williams, who will probably start for Forest today, they have to find that X factor that they had in October. Chris Wood has to start scoring, and overall, they have to go back to their own. They have to go back to the football that they know how to play. Because I have a feeling that Nuno Espirito Santo, I think he's tried to implement some sort of alternative system, switching from 4 in the back to 3 in the back to 4 to 3, sometimes to 5. And I have a feeling that worked as a detriment to Nottingham Forest as of late. So I really think that it's time to go back to basics. If you want to have a chance of playing and hearing the Champions League anthem next season in the league phase, as the Nottingham Forest team, you have to go back to basics. You have to go back to the way how you used to play football last fall or last autumn. Yeah, exactly. That's what they have to do. Otherwise, they're in for a rough ride because Crystal Palace, they are on the rise. They will be super motivated to put up a great show for the supporters at home. Because they're gonna have a great occasion, FA Cup final, not so long from today. So they will be motivated and they will be dangerous, and I cannot wait to see Eze and Sa and Mateta like wrecking havoc among Milenkovic and Murillos of the world. But then again, maybe it's not going to be that bad.
Yeah, I think you've made a lot of very valid points. What I will say for Nottingham Forest is when I saw them against Brentford on Thursday, is I was in a bar working, and we they had the screen on and they were on, and I couldn't hear the game, and obviously the game didn't go well for them. But what I do have to say is that an evening game at Nottingham Forest looks worthy of European football. It looked like it looked the part. So I really hope for their sake that they managed to get there. But to talk about Crystal Palace, it's a huge achievement, and both teams are coming into this with very different ambitions, I guess. They've had a 4-day break, whereas Forest have played, Thursday 4 days ago. So there's a big difference in teams, but Oliver Glasner's come out saying that he's banned any more talk about the FA Cup final to keep everyone focused on delivering in the next 2 Premier League games. He don't want to hear anything from it until this game's finished. Moving forward to then the Tottenham game. And then after that, they can start looking forward to an FA Cup final, which for them is a huge, huge achievement. I think it's going to be really tough, and I'm probably gutted to say this because my head is saying that Palace might probably win this game, which will dampen the hopes for many Forest fans out there. But it will remain to see, and later tonight or whenever you're listening to this, you will be able to find out. Ladies and gentlemen, we have concluded this weekend's Premier League fixtures. It's a wrap, everybody. That's 35 games, bar Forest and Palace, that have been done this season. Who will claim those 8 places in Europe? One's gone to Liverpool. Surely Arsenal can't let it slip from here. We will find out, people. We will be back next Sunday with our review, Monday with our review. But catch us every day of the week, wherever you listen to us. Michael, it's been a pleasure as always.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you as well.
We will see you all very, very soon.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.